Hi everyone, back in the more YouTube channel. It's Chris back with a rumour has it video and a bit of a thought of the day as well. It looks very much like Bruno Guimarães is a man in demand if you believe some of the news stories doing the rounds. It sounds like Manchester City are interested in our Brazilian superstar and they're willing to send us a couple of young players on loan for the season to sweeten the deal. Young players plus cash, my word. Is that something Newcastle United may possibly deal on? I hope not, because looking at the deal in isolation, I'm not sure it really gives Newcastle much apart from 80 million quid is the figure that they're talking about this now. But the two young players in question are really talented players. You've got Oscar Bobb, who you remember scored the winner against St James's Park. I was at that game. Very good player, very talented little player. Norwegian international, looks a good player. And also Rico Lewis, I believe it is, the talented fullback. Now, talented fullbacks, I think we've got our quota, to be brutally honest with you, in Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall. I don't think we really need anybody else. I know we'll have City fans in the comments going, oh, Rico Lewis is the next Maldini. But I don't think we need another fullback, if brutally honest with you. We're probably going to sell fullbacks instead of anything else. But in terms of the deal for Bruno Guimarães, I'd be really disappointed if he goes to Manchester City. Yes, 80 million quid is a lot of money, but 80 million quid doesn't buy you a lot these days. You know, when people like Mason Mount are going for 50 million quid and can't kick their own arse, what does 80 million quid buy you? Yes, you can spread it over time, you know, amortization, and split it over 5 or 6, 7 years, maybe go and buy yourself a good few players. But Bruno Guimarães is key to what Newcastle United are trying to achieve this season. And for me, it has to be a top 4 finish. Me and Mark are back what's going on Monday. We're going to talk about pre-season, and that's definitely going to come out of my mouth. Top 4 has to be the goal for Newcastle this season. They have to get back into the Champions League. They cannot miss out on Europe again, or you won't keep a hold of players like Alexander Isak or Bruno Guimaraes. Now, this is only in the newspapers at the moment. It's not really gathering too much steam in terms of of authenticity, but I would be quite worried if Manchester City came in for Bruno, because there's been loads of stories about Kevin De Bruyne possibly heading over to Saudi. Now that's been squashed by City and De Bruyne as well, I think, saying that he's not going to go anywhere. I think Fabrizio Romano said that the deal was already agreed, so it sounds like he maybe jumped the gun a little bit there. But if they are going to sell De Bruyne over to Saudi, for a bit of cash in the pocket, and obviously De Bruyne will have more money he's ever seen in his life, maybe they will be looking for another midfielder who can get on the ball and make things happen, and Bruno could be somebody that they want to go for. Now, Pep's a big fan, but it's a very funny thing at City because we don't know what's going to happen with them. They've got all these charges hanging over their head. They talk about Pep being scouted for the England job, whether you believe that or not. So I don't really know whether Bruno would want to go there with maybe a lot of upheaval happening over the next 2 years. But it is Manchester City, it's Champions League football, to winning the league. So, of course, would he say no if they came in? I don't know. I still think teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid are the ones I'd be really worried about if they came in for Bruno, because that Latino link to the La Liga, El Clasico clubs is so strong. We've seen so many players go there over the years. Suarez and Coutinho from Liverpool to name but two. In terms of that South American player who's just dazzled by the bright lights of Barca and Madrid. So hopefully that won't happen. But yeah, for me, I don't think this deal would be a good deal for Newcastle United. If you get one of those two youngsters on loan, even if he does brilliantly, are we really going to sign him permanently? Possibly not. We could be in a position where we give them a season, say Oscar Bobb, for example, and he's brilliant, he creates, he scores. We want to sign him, but then City go, well, don't we want to sell him to, just as part of the deal to get Bruno, and then he's back in the City squad the season after, and we're left holding our dicks, really. So, yeah, for me, I don't think that's a really good deal. If it was a loan-to-buy deal for Oscar Bobb and 80 million quid, then maybe that's something Newcastle could potentially look at. But I really hope we do not sell Bruno Guimarães this season, because for me he's vital, he's key. I'm so excited to see Bruno, Joe Linton and Sandro Tonali together as a midfield three. I think that's awesome if they can get on the pitch together. If we can see what we saw against Villa in that opening game last season, the three of them look like they can complement each other so well. And I think we could have a great season with those three as the engine room in the midfield. But if Bruno was to be sold, and I really hope that he isn't, I've said this before, Bruno we could deal with losing, as much as you may think I'm absolutely fucking mad there. Isak we cannot live without, so if it means losing one of them and it's Bruno, then I think that's going to have to be what we have to accept. If we did lose Bruno, we got Sandro Tonali to come in. You've got Joe Linton still there, signing a new contract. Joe Willock, hopefully to get fit and stay fit. We've got Louis Miley, who looked so impressive last season at 17. I think he's going to have a great season this season. He's been written off by quite a lot of fans and other fan content creators, which I find quite disappointing. I don't think they really appreciate what this kid did last season at 17 years old. They think he's a flash in the pan, and they haven't said those exact words, but it's definitely the vibe that I get from it. It's quite disappointing because I think this kid is going to be a phenomenal player for Newcastle. You thought I was going to swear there, didn't you? Yeah, I got you. Phenomenal player for Newcastle. And I really think this season could be a breakout season for him, even better than last season. Yeah, he's lucky to injure his foot pre-season, but mark my words, Louis Miley will have a stormer of a season for Newcastle. So if Bruno was to go and you had Joe Litton, Tonali, Willock, Longstaff, Miley, maybe adding in another player as well, possibly to that mix, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I don't want to see Bruno Guimaraes leave because he's fucking class. He's got a magic hat and he's key to what we're going to do this season. But let us know in the comments below what you think about Bruno, this deal to City. Would you take those two youngsters or one of them on loan? Do you think it's a bit of a busted flush in terms of we won't get to keep them? Or would you try and screw City to keep one of those players? And 80 million quid for Bruno, would you do a deal? Or do you think he's invaluable to Newcastle? We always like to hear from you. Drop a comment in, like and subscribe. We've just gone over 8,200 subs, so massive thanks to everybody for that. Mark and I are back live on Monday night at 9:30. Tune in for a bit of crack. Loads to talk about. Have a belter. We'll see you later.